Did you just throw your phone?
No, I did not throw the phone.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Beg Pardon. As always, I'm your host Anthony, joined by Mr. Giggles. Today's episode, today we're actually going to have a water cooler episode where we talk about kind of hot topics that are going on in the United States and around the world and give our opinions on them. So this section of Beg Pardon, or these installments of Beg Pardon, will be known as water cooler episodes. So, how are you doing, Carlos, Giggles? How are you, sir?
Yeah, that's my new name, Giggles.
Yeah.
It's gonna shoot.
Get
on
it
the bottom
tattooed. Get it tattooed on you, Giggles.
I'm doing good. This water cooler episodes remind me of, for all of you who are like from New York or the tri-state area, on the AM station it was called 1010 Wins, and 1010 Wins always had the catchphrase of like, you give us like 20 minutes and we'll give you the world, because it did like world news in such a like short time. That's what these water coolers remind me of. They were 1010 Wins of the podcast.
Oh, gotcha. So welcome. So today we are talking about specifically here in the United States with the COVID-19 epidemic that's happening. There is talk about schools reopening this fall, public schools reopening this fall, and private, I guess, and whether or not these places of learning should open. So in this scenario that we're going to discuss today for the next couple minutes, given the information that you have currently, if no changes were to happen, if things were just to continue along the trajectory that they were, do you think that schools should reopen or should they remain closed, Carlos?
Well, I'm going to say this as someone who the good Lord has not blessed me with children of my own yet. But if I had children, I would not send them to school. I wouldn't. Even if it dipped to what it was in like early May-ish case scenario, when they were like, maybe we should start phase opening, I still wouldn't send them to school. I think that...
I mean, you currently reside in the state with the highest percentage
Correct.
jump in cases in the United States, so...
Yeah. So we're off to a start for that. But I think, just kids get sick at school with run-of-the-mill things.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you send kids to school during something like this, it's probably one of the most irresponsible things you can do is to make not only the kids go, but these educators have to go back as well to teach kids. But then also, like, what about the kids who, like me, whose parents don't feel comfortable with them going? Do you give them all absences? And do they have to get held back because they missed too many days of school? Do you excuse those absences? Like, do you do a hybrid of half in class or the rest of the class can watch from something else, like they're looking in through the window, which is kind of weird? like how do you do that? Yeah, they're just like...
Yeah. So kind of where I'm at on this, and again, the good Lord has not saddled me with a child, as I would never want to have children of my own. So speaking as somebody who absolutely detests... No, I'm kidding. I don't detest children, but I do not want to have children, so I don't have them. And so coming from somebody who doesn't have children, here's my take on this. Even if, saying what you said, even if we go back to where we were in May, where some businesses are open, I am sympathetic in understanding to the fact that there are many Americans who rely so much on the education system to even feed their children, because of various reasons, poverty being one of them, and to provide them with a place to be so that way they could go to work because they can't afford daycare. Again, this gets into a whole other topic, but I am sympathetic in that right. However, I think that there needs to be a way to do this safely and effectively, to get kids back into school safely and effectively. What does that mean? I don't know. Kind of how I would see it in my head. If you were grades like kindergarten to 5th grade, if there's a way for you to, whether you're using the whole elementary school and the high school or whatever it is, but you to take those grades, K through 5, spread them out throughout the school so that way you could adhere to social distancing, and you have a teacher that's in class, you do the checks, But if there's a way to safely do that, and then everyone, 5th grade through 12th grade, whether it's provided from the school or through a credit to the families, I think those should all be virtual. Because I think you could keep the attention span of middle schoolers, high schoolers, 6th graders, even 5th graders, have somebody like Skype or Zoom, where the teacher's like, good morning class, and everyone is in their respective homes, and they are in attendance, and they learn just virtually. I think you run into issues whenever you're getting grades K through 4. You can't really keep a 7-year-old's attention being like in front of a computer screen. So sure. That's kind of how I would look at it, if there's a way to do it effectively. But again, if you were to ask me if I had a child, would I put them in public school with the information that's currently out now? No, I wouldn't. However, I'm just giving the scenario. I'm giving a solution to the problem, I guess, and stating that I think that there are ways to do this effectively. But I think you would need, just like businesses being open at 50%, I think that you need to cut the occupancy of these buildings in half. You can't have as many students as you did before. So, I mean, that's kind of how I would look at it.
I mean, to play off of that, you could even do it where, I know when my wife, when she was in kindergarten, for me, I had to go 5 days a week. But when my wife was in kindergarten, they had 2 groups. They had like the dolphins, and I forgot, there was another animal. I don't know, this is the tiger.
They went every other day.
Yeah.
I did that.
Go back to that, where, they go every other day. But again, I went every day. So, I don't know, maybe it's just a PS thing. But we were in school all the time. But you could alternate days for younger kids. So, you can keep that class size smaller so you can distance them. Because I know class size is another thing that you kind of got to play into, is how do you distance them when you have 20 to 30 kids in a class with one teacher. Yeah. Like when I was in 1st grade, we had 32 kids in my class. And it was one lady, Miss Mamusa. So that's what that was. And she was like, she had to be the most stressed out lady in the world.
Right.
Now, times that with a pandemic, I would have nervous breakdown just thinking about my lesson plan, let alone how am I going to distance these kids. So
right.
I think if they were going to do something similar to your idea with, the younger grades, if you had them alternate days, I think that might be the best way to kind of distance them and ease the teachers' workloads in the
right.
sense of, I don't have to worry about this whole group of kids. I can kind of space them out type of thing.
And we're nearing the end of the summer. So there has to be a plan other than taking a temperature at a door and keeping these kids at full capacity. Because the problem with child COVID cases, as we've already seen, is oftentimes they're asymptomatic. And the problem isn't so much the children contracting COVID, it's the children spreading COVID to susceptible populations.
Yep.
And that's where the danger occurs, and you don't want it to. So if the kids are at home, I feel like the school should also provide their food. You can do contactless delivery, because again, so many people rely on school lunches to feed their children throughout the day. Use the bus route. Have the people the U.S. government needs to step up and needs to take definitive action in acknowledging that this is a real issue, and B, offering alternatives to the issue. I think that there would be less people scared and gung-ho about we have to reopen because of X, Y, and Z, if they had faith in the system to take care of them while this is happening. I think too many people don't have, myself included, don't have faith in the system. And they're like, I can't trust this. I can't trust that I'm going to be okay. And I'm trusting Uncle Sam to have my back. Mm-hmm. Time and time again, this government, I'm not talking about this administration, this government, entire government, over my whole life, have proven the opposite.
Yeah.
Of not
of good job.
Right, of not protecting the individual.
Yeah.
And we just have to do something. Yes, we need to educate our children. Absolutely. We cannot go another year without any type of like public education for our children. We can't afford to do that.
No.
So come up with an alternative. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an education administrator. So I'm just a dude with a podcast. But I'm trying to come up with a solution. So I'm hoping behind closed doors there's already solutions in place. But I think if you cut the size by 50% or more, have those individuals, whether they're alternating days or they're just spread out throughout the school more, and you have more educators, hiring more teachers, that's not a bad idea. I mean, I think that there in certain pockets of the United States, there's a teaching shortage, but I don't know how many juniors or seniors in high school want to spend $30,000 to $50,000 on a 4-year education to make $26,000 a year out the gate. Maybe we should fix that. Maybe we should not pay our teachers pennies. Maybe we should pay them for the pivotal work that they do in educating our youth. That's a novel idea. Like, I shouldn't be able to make more money. Again, different topic, but I should not be able to make more money dribbling a ball or kicking a ball than somebody who's literal, like my whole education, my brain is in their hands. My view of the world, my understanding of what's happening. I should not be paying that person barely above minimum wage, not enough to survive, not enough to pay their student loan bills, and then throwing 50 kids in a classroom being like, good luck.
Yeah.
Oh, and your school, we're going to underfund it. We're not going to fund it either. Good luck. That's literally what happens.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm scared this fall, because I don't think COVID's going to change that. I don't think COVID's going to change the treatment and the perception of the United States school system. It's going to remain the same. And then we'll blame it on somebody else. The next administration that comes in will blame it on the previous one for mishandling it poorly, and then they'll handle it poorly. Make whatever decisions benefit them and their donors that got them into office. It's just going to be the same pattern over and over and over. So if you do have kids and you have the ability to educate them virtually, maybe do that. If you don't, and our schools are still not open, I feel for you. And I'm praying alongside you that somebody has something. Somebody has a solution to something. Whether that's, virtually at home. And again, you have to give the people the ability to learn from home. The expectation can't be put them on a laptop. Not all families have a laptop. Not all families even have internet.
That's true.
So Uncle Sam, get off your throne, fund these schools, work with Comcast or whoever, provide internet to these people, give them laptops, and start educating our kids. Let us know what you think. If you have kids and you are a listener, let us know what your plans are for the school session coming up this fall, if they are even open. Again, we don't know what the situation is going to hold. But everyone, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Beg Pardon and our water cooler series. Make sure you give us a like on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. You can catch all the links to those right below here. And thanks for tuning in today.
And that will do it for us on the water cooler edition of Beg Pardon. As always, he's Anthony. I'm Carlos. And remember, nobody's too cool for school. Until next time.